me and you are roughly 45 hours into Tears of the Kingdom, right? Like I have 45. I think you have 45 also.
Yeah.
Which,
I think I'm in the 40 ballpark right now.
Yeah, you only finished one temple.
Yeah, one temple, several side quests, but only one temple.
Yeah, I'm not even done with my first temple yet. I actually just started today. Funny.
The only reason why I'm done with it, by the way, is because I told myself I need to do one. I told myself it's killing me. I need to know what the temples even look like. So I deliberately went to do it. It's not I just like found myself there. I said fuck it, let's just beeline it.
You have the depths, which took forever to. I know that took them forever to make. It's literally the same surface
Huge.
area as the regular
map.
The regular map, and then you also have the skies, which I don't buy that having taken up that much time. The sky islands, they're cool, but they. Come on, let's be serious.
Well, about the devs, the Sky Island would have felt very cheap. It would have like, wow, guys, really? That's all you did?
Yeah, sorry. Isn't that crazy, by the way? Isn't that like that was a whole selling point of the game, and yet like it's.
I think honestly, I have a theory that they started with the skies and they realized this is not enough, guys. It's just not hitting right. And then when someone proposed the devs, they were like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, we should do that.
Yeah. But no matter what, we have these two new and entirely new maps of the game.
Yeah.
And with that as well, there's now a trilogy of Breath of the Wild-esque games. So you have Breath of the Wild, the sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, and Age of Calamity. That doesn't really count here too much, but it's still in the same like world, like theme of Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
And I'm sure Nintendo's probably dried up of this topic, of this feeling. So what's next?
I had the same thought myself. I remember thinking to myself, you can't do a third game in this world. It's overkill. You can't make people explore the same map again a third time, especially when you can't go up to a new place anymore, because up is discovered and down is also discovered. There's nowhere else on the map to geographically go for. The only solution, if you want to stay on the same map, is to expand the map even more, but that's kind of overkill too, because you're exploring the gigantic map in the middle again, and then you're getting the extra content around, which is just unnecessary. And that's something that's been on my mind for a minute, because I'm playing the game and I'm enjoying it. I'm thinking, fuck, like, they killed it, but they, like, really put themselves in a hole now, because what do you do? Granted, also, we're speaking from a point of view that we haven't beat the game. We don't know how the story ends, so maybe the story has answered this question. We don't know. But so far, from our POV, it doesn't seem like there's an easy solution. The only thing that I've come up with when I was dwelling and thinking about this was, you could realistically, and this is a very risky direction, is to do what you did for Wind Waker. Flood Hyrule and try to do what you did for Wind Waker, except through the Breath of the Wild engine. Try to make sailing better. Really try to expand on sailing with a better open world. Because Wind Waker tried to do open world on a system that did not support open world. That was very much just like, this is a small little box.
Yeah.
Try to make that work on a giant open world. And I think it could be cool, but there's a lot of risk with that. I feel like a lot of people would be very mad if you tried doing that too. So it's very like, that's the only idea I can think of.
That's we mentioned this before, that the issue with doing a sequel to Breath of the Wild is, we talked about it before, where having a sequel to Breath of the Wild and then waiting this long also, and on top of that having another game in there come out in between, kind of sets this expectation or this standard that this is Zelda now.
Yeah.
And yeah, granted, you had other Zelda games come out, but one of them was just a remake. Actually, both of them were just remakes. Link's Awakening and Skyward Sword. They're not really.
Link's Awakening definitely had a little bit more to it, but yeah, no, definitely Awakening. I mean, definitely a remake at its heart.
Yeah. No matter what, it's the same concept going into the game.
Yeah, it's not new content, like brand
new. Exactly. So I'm sure after this, because I think doesn't Nintendo have like this mantra or this thing where they want to release a Zelda game every year, right?
I think they like have not missed a year in like since like the GBA days probably.
I think the only year that was missed was last year. I think.
Really?
I think last year they missed it. I think it's because Tears of the Kingdom was probably going to come out last year, and then they had to delay it. I think.
Yeah, but I think before that, or maybe it was No, I think I'm right. I think it was after the I think like the GBA to 3D, like Ocarina of Time, that transition. I think after Ocarina of Time, it just became year after year after that. I don't think they missed ever.
Yeah, I think so too. Actually,
I think that adds up.
No matter what, like they barely miss any years, and like
yeah,
I'm sure next year will most likely be the like Ocarina. Sorry, not Ocarina of Time. Wind Waker, Twilight Princess HD. Like that has to be probably what I think.
That's what fans are asking for, but I don't know if they're gonna do it because they already ported it once. To port it twice is insane.
But what else do you got? Like, there's nothing else in the fucking. There's nothing else in
you could backlog. remake. You could remake Oracle of Ages and Seasons.
Which, cool, and in the same style as Link's Awakening, I guess.
Yeah, like you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's an idea. And
reaching here, Zelda 1 and 2. I don't think anyone would really ask for that, but I guess you could do that too.
You know that's not. You know that's not.
A Zelda 1 remake is like who asked?
Although
Zelda 1 remake in the engine of Breath of the Wild. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Because you're going with the whole idea of like. The whole idea is to go with the concept of like freedom, right? And the only other Zelda game that has freedom like that is Zelda 1.
You could honestly go wherever you wanted. That was the whole premise of it. Dude, that'd be nuts. That'd be crazy. The only thing is...
No towns, no nothing like that.
No, well, you could add that. I don't think that's that'd be hard to add. But yeah, there's no towns that's hard. But I think the only problem with that is you need to add something. So, Nintendo loves gimmicks. We know that. They do it for every fucking title. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, everything has a gimmick. There's no gimmick in remaking Zelda 1 with just what's called a Breath of the Wild overlay. Like, you can argue that Link's Awakening had that, but it's like, look at that. Do you really want another one of those? I think it was a good game, yes, but I don't want another one of those. I want a little like variation. I like Twilight Princess because it had, the Twilight element with transforming into a wolf. I like Wind Waker because you were on a boat traveling through the seas. I like Skyward Sword to a degree. Amount. Yeah, because it did have Sky Islands. It had a pretty interesting plot that was very, very heavily focused on Link and Zelda's relationship. They never did that before. Every game has something different, and I feel like just doing what Zelda Awakening essentially did, but doing for Zelda 1, doesn't do that, and it's kind of it's fighting against what Nintendo preaches, So they need something. I feel like they need something extra, and I don't know what that is.
I can see that. I hate that it was already taken by Tunic, but Tunic had a really interesting approach with the whole entire concept of the game is like you're trying to like create the game instruction manual. You know about that?
Have I seen that? I don't think I've seen that.
You haven't played Tunic yourself?
No.
Essentially, like it was really inspired by Zelda 1, where like Zelda 1, you really needed to rely on the instruction manual of the game in order to kind of get through it, at least when it first came out. Yeah. And for Tunic, they kind of wanted to replicate that style, but how do you do that in the modern age? Like when you have like game, like all these like websites. I was gonna say GameFAQs. That's not a thing.
You have GameFAQs.com. That's hilarious.
But it sort of drops you in the middle of like nothing, right? Very similar to Zelda 1, and it's like, all right, figure it out. And how do you figure it out? And it's like you just use throughout the game you unlock pages, and these pages are telling you like it's a new page of the instruction manual. That's
a cool fucking concept. I never knew that Tunic. And like I thought Tunic was just like a rebrand of Zelda. I didn't know.
No, the whole entire purpose is for you to get new pages of the manual, and the manual, each page will tell you a new like element of the gameplay that you probably didn't even realize was there before. Like
that would be sick for Zelda 1.
Yeah. So like for one of the things about the game was like I didn't know you can run, and then I unlocked the instruction manual. And I was like, if you just hold down this button, and I was like.
And then it opened your mind.
I was like,
oh shit, those are the whole
stupid.
time.
Yeah, the whole time, because like it wasn't like you just like it wasn't like apparent. Like it wasn't like if you just held it for a second, like it wasn't like Pokemon where like as soon as you press down like B on Pokemon.
It was very much like you had to know how to specifically do it.
Exactly, and then as soon as I like held down like the B button for like a while, that's when he starts running, and I'm like, it was so cool. But it's obviously inspired by Zelda, and I'm just saying that like an interesting direction could be something maybe similar to that. where it's just sort of like how can you explore, how can you take that concept of being lost and really explore even heavier, because that's what the first game was. But again, that's just me, that's just us talking about assuming that the game would be them remaking like the next. I nonetheless think that I don't ultimately think the next game will be in the engine of Breath of the Wild or
I don't think
Tears
so
of the
either.
Kingdom.
They're definitely gonna take a break from that. It's too exhausting on them.
Yeah, it's too exhausting, and I obviously think that no matter what, the next game is gonna go for something that's gonna revolutionize gaming again. Like,
do you think so? I don't think the next Zelda game is gonna revolutionize shit, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure that I'm not saying that it will. I'm just saying that that's gonna be their like
MO.
goal. Yeah, the MO.
Yeah. I can see that for sure. I think personally, where they should honestly do is, I like the Wind Waker concept I mentioned a lot, where it's the Breath of the Wild engine, but that's just me in a sky blue sense where there's unlimited resources, limited like time, like, you know, it's easy to make. That'd be great. But obviously, real life's not like that, and these guys are always going to be on a crunch, and they can't really push something out like that. So me personally, I think it would be best for Nintendo to just do what they've done before, which is expand the lore of Zelda. What I mean by that is, Four Swords Adventure had like stuff like Vadi, and then you had Majora's Mask and Majora. I think we haven't got a game like that in quite some time outside Link Between Worlds, and that's why I like Link Between Worlds a lot.
Right. So that's actually kind of something that I was going to go in the direction of as well. Where like I was thinking that one of the ways that they can go about this for the next game is sort of explore, like, let's say Termina, for example. Like like you have a bunch of different places in the lore of Zelda, and yet they don't explore much of any of it except for the self-confined games that those locations are in.
They never expand on them again. It's like one and done. Like, they live in their own place, and Nintendo doesn't like to bring it up again.
Exactly. And so I legitimately think that the next game will probably also something that they could go with that. Like, how do you, like, let's explore Termina, and if that's in the style of Breath of the Wild, cool. Let's make it like humongous.
Dude, Termina, it expanded. You know, the Majora's Mask fandom has like gotten bigger and bigger every year. Like, if you look at like how Majora's Mask did in sales initially, pretty shit actually. Did not sell well. And over the last like 20 years, that game has gone a massive fan base, including me. I initially was terrified of the game, and when I got older, I really appreciated it. So if you expand Termina and do something like Breath of the Wild in terms of size for Majora's Mask, that fan base would eat that up. You would have a major W of a project there.
Yeah. Or they could also just go...
What?
They could also just try to take a more narrative approach, too. Like actually focus more on the narrative of the game versus, like... I don't think they're ever gonna do. I don't know. It's Nintendo. They never had a really game.
Like introduce more cutscenes like they did for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. Like I guess I'm just trying to think of like how can they revolutionize it, and like I actually.
It's so hard to say because Nintendo 1 second drops a revolutionizer banger like Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, and you're like, oh my god, this is peak gaming, and the next second they drop like Mario's Cooking Mama Deluxe, and it's like, oh, okay, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, it's also a weird world too, where like I'm sure you're realizing this. There aren't as many spin-offs anymore, like ever, which sucks. And I know a lot of it has to do with like development time is just taking forever, and so what do you prioritize more, like the next mainline title or a spin-off? Yeah. And
it's not easy as it used to be to just pump out games like that.
Yo, don't you sometimes wish that it was as easy? Like I would rather take a game that looks like a PS2 game as long as it's a spin-off, bro. Like I'll take that.
That's why, honestly, the argument is that's why indie games look the way they do. I mean, people really can't afford the time or effort for AAA kind of like graphics and like efficiency. So they're like, fuck it, I just want to make a really cool game and I have a really cool idea. I'm just gonna put it in like PS2 graphics, or I'm just gonna put it in like 16-bit graphics, and like hopefully the game's so good that you don't even care. Stardew Valley, fucking Shovel Knight. Like, no one really cares about the graphics. The game is that fucking good.
Exactly. It's unfortunate that, like, I guess that's the state of gaming right now. But nonetheless, like, no matter what, I can only imagine that the next actual mainline Zelda game is gonna try to go for something even grander than Tears of the Kingdom, and I just don't know how. I truly, I guess the moral of the story is that I truly don't know where they go from here. I only think it's just explore a new place, and if it's in the style of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, which I think it ultimately has to be, I also don't think it's not gonna revolutionize gaming.
No.
Like the only other gameplay mechanic that I can think of if you do like a remake or like explore Termina is if like instead of like all this like the oh my god what are these things called in Tears of the Kingdom, like the gameplay element where you can put things together and go up.
Fuse
and all of that. Like I think if they do go to Termina, I think the main gameplay mechanic is going to be just like the masks and stuff, and how each of them will give you something else to do. Like
yeah,
but I don't know. That's also not that's not revolutionary.
I can only say for sure 3 things. One, I can say for sure that the Breath of the Wild games are done. You can't do a third game in the same map. Like you need to expand. 2, I don't think we're gonna get, like you said, I don't think we're gonna get revolutionized Zelda games for a minute. I don't think like the next game is gonna be revolutionary. I think it's gonna be quite some time until we get another Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom mainline like attachment. And 3, honestly, whatever comes next, I don't think it's going to be on the same scale. I think it's gonna be a very much like Link's crossbow training or fucking The Awakening remake. It's gonna be very small scale where they can do it in a year or 2 and pump it out.
Well, yeah, if they're gonna go through with like the promise of like a Zelda game every year, is gonna be like that. Like it's gonna be just like a remake most likely because that's what we usually get. But
yeah,
the next actual mainline, I'm sure it's gonna be a big deal because it always is. Like me and you are still waiting for like the next Mario game. Like I'm surprised that.
And look how long it's been taking. Similar things gonna happen in Zelda. I feel like they made Odyssey. They're like, okay, what's next, guys? Like, what do we fucking build upon this with? Look at Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 dropped, and they're like, okay, how do we like revolutionize racing in Mario Kart now? I don't know. They really are stuck right now. Like, it's gonna take us a while. It's constantly gonna take long periods of iteration for us to get these massive titles, which really sucks to say. So for now, I really do feel like Zelda's just gonna be on a flat little line for a bit. Yeah, and then it's gonna spike back up.
The crazy thing is that like I'm also kind of okay with that.
I'm okay with it too because I think the quality is gonna come eventually.
Exactly.
It just sucks because
first off, it's still quality. I think.
Yeah. It just sucks because I don't remember the last time Zelda went back to back on such amazing, groundbreaking shit. I really don't. Like, when's the last time Zelda dropped 2 back to back? Like, like that's just.
Technically, Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time.
That's a good argument, actually. Because if you think about it in the concept of, its time, like its time, it's very much like this is the best 2D game ever. What the fuck? This is in 3D now. Yeah, that's a good point. That's actually a good point.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like nonetheless, there aren't a lot of games that can say that they did that. So not even Mario, I think, can say that. Like, I think Mario and Zelda, if I'm not mistaken, have like the same amount of like revolutionary games in their lineups.
Yeah.
Like you have the original Zelda, obviously, then Link to the Past, then Ocarina of Time, then Tears of the Kingdom. Sorry, Breath of the Wild. Wait, do you think Tears of the Kingdom is as revolutionary
as Breath of the Wild? Yes.
I don't think so.
No, I'll explain to you right the fuck now why it is. Breath of the Wild, obviously, we know why it's revolutionary. Insane open worldness to the point where it felt like you can touch and do anything, which is crazy. Tears of the Kingdom grabbed what Breath of the Wild did and took it even further because Tears of the Kingdom did something I haven't seen any game, in my opinion, do yet, which is create the perfect physics engine. Creating physics engines in gaming is hard as shit because there's physics around the player itself, right? And there's physics around other objects. Typically, companies focus on the physics of the main player, and the physics of other objects around them they kind of just forget about. They're like, whatever. Like if the player's not controlling that thing, let's not worry too much about how it deals with the real world. Tears of the Kingdom, when you build shit, when you craft stuff, it actually follows really well real engine physics, and it's like you're actually watching something that would be built in real life, and that's so impressive. I really mean this when I say And correct me in the wrong in comments if you fucking know an example. I can't name another game that's done that. It's insanely impressive.
Oh, I'm sure there has, but I don't think
I don't
there's
know what it
anything
is.
on this scale.
Especially on a 7-watt console that runs on vegetable oil, like, dog,
Yeah.
that's insane. Yeah,
like
I think it's so revolutionary.
I guess it's I don't disagree that it's revolutionary. I guess it's just like I'm not sure how revolutionary it is in the sense of how much it's going to affect the overall gaming landscape in a way.
I
Just
think,
like how
I think it gives people a new standard for where to reach for physics. Like,
yeah, and maybe my answer would be different like 5 years from now, like because obviously when Breath of the Wild came out, I'm sure we all felt that it was revolutionary, but we didn't see that until years later when we saw the amount of like copycat games
trying
there
to
were.
do it, yeah.
Exactly, trying to do the same thing. Like, what's that? Phoenix Rising. That game, that will always be the game. That's
Oh
like,
yeah,
yo,
that was
what are you
really
doing?
trying to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally the same game.
Yeah.
So, did you ever play it too?
No, hell no, I didn't touch that shit.
I played it and I was like, you're trying too hard.
You can tell it was like, damn, this is legit a reskin.
I didn't buy it though. I think it was on like Xbox or something.
Oh, okay.
But like the Game Pass. But like I feel like maybe it would be different if I see like other games also doing like this like fusing thing, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
And you're like, hold on,
come on.
It's like Tears of the Kingdom definitely had you guys shook, huh?
Exactly. Like you're not even trying to hide this now.
Nah, yeah.
So
It's-
if I see that, then I'm like, oh yeah, never mind. Zelda.
It's so hard to say what's coming though, but I definitely think this is revolutionary. I think we will see the impacts very soon. Honestly, I think a lot of games are going to be really trying to fix a lot of their engine problems for their physics engines. I think a lot of them will be, and a lot of them also will try. Honestly, hear me out. I think a lot of them will try to incorporate building in their games now.
I can see that actually.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't think I want to be Nintendo right now. I don't think I want to be put in that pressure.
If I'm the creative designer or the design lead, if I'm just even Miyamoto in this case, I'm kind of, like I said before at the beginning of this conversation, I really have no idea what comes next. Like, there's concepts, there's ideas, yeah, but nothing really sticks out as like, that's the big next, yeah, that's the fucking, like, that will really shake it up.
And I guess we say that now, but like even the concept of Breath of the Wild, you know, like Breath of the Wild wasn't the first humongous open world game.
No, it was the first though to make it feel like everything was interactive though. That's what made it different.
Yeah, like we can go back to Skyrim. Skyrim came out like a whole like 60 years before Breath of the Wild, and that felt like an open world game. But like, I guess it's just still like, how do you take a concept that already exists and build upon
really
that?
push it?
Yeah, which means that the only thing, what if they also just like go back to the Ocarina of Time design with like the dungeons, but revolutionize that, like revolutionize that style of gameplay where like making every dungeon truly feel like an experience.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Where it's very much, it's focused more so on the linear dungeons that you're going to instead of just the open world focus.
Yeah,
but that's also just like, is that the right move, or is that just like, or is it the argument then being, are you just going back to what you know because you have nothing else? It's so hard. Like, what do you do? And I'm really scared that if they can't think of anything, they're gonna try some bullshit like the Wii again, where they're like, all right, AR, let's make a Zelda AR VR experience, and it's like, no, that wasn't the solution. No, that's not what we meant. Go back. Yeah.
Right. I do want that Twilight Princess HD remake. That's all I truly want.